Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Now let's get straight into it. So today's lesson, we're going to be talking about how to flee wicked thoughts and to clean your spirit. A brother recently sent an email, or it was a comment on the page on how to clean your thoughts or how not to think wicked thoughts. So I decided really quickly, as I'm working on another more in detail, deeper lesson on who the Corinthians were, I decided to pop in real quick and talk about this. I threw some scriptures up that I knew that was pertaining to this topic, and also some other things I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Either way, I'll tell you this. So one thing that I notice a lot is that when brothers, of course, brothers and sisters, once they get into the quote unquote truth, it's like they think that because they're in a better spot spiritually, that they don't have to work on everything else about them too as well, meaning morally, ethically, and the work ethic in general, their thoughts, so on and so forth. Just because you know who you are according to the scriptures and you keeping the laws now does not mean that you don't have to work on yourself and that you're automatically going to understand everything that you need to understand about being a better person in general. All right. And when I say be a better person, I'm not talking about what the world calls a better person, but being a better person according to the scriptures in general, too, as well. All right. It's your understanding of who you are and keeping the laws now is not going to override that. You're not just going to, randomly just become someone that now you just don't commit any sins or you don't have things to work on because of that. And I think a lot of brothers and sisters have that mindset. So that's why they come in and they really just the same person, just they the same person. They keep the laws, but everything else, like I said, work ethic and everything else, they pretty much just like the same person. This being in this walk is about involving all together in every facet of your life, to the best of your ability. That is, if you have a job, you should be trying to advance that job or get a better job. If you're in a career, you should be trying to advance that career and get go to better opportunities. You're supposed to be making more money. All right, especially for the men, you should be trying to make more money all the time. All right. If you have a business, you should be trying to grow and expand your business within reasonable means, of course. As long as you're not going off it, it's all good. As long as you're not going off it, it's fair play. And you're not breaking the laws of the land or you're not breaking the laws of the book. It's all fair play. It's all good. You should be doing these things. If you have wicked thoughts, you should be trying to get out of them. All right. Whatever it is, if you have a problem with women, especially for the, for the brothers, hopefully not for the sisters. But if you have a problem with women, you should be trying to do better with that, too, as well. Or you should be trying to curb your lusts and things of that nature. Whatever it is, you should be identifying where you are weak in your spirit or in your flesh. And you should be attacking that daily, too, as well. I mean, on a daily basis, especially as the man, you should be looking to increase your disciplines and improve your habits every single day. Because when it comes to the scriptures, if you're going to be better spiritually, then obviously you need to spend more time not only reading the scriptures, but meditating on the scriptures. Right. And how do you do that? You have more time to do it. But how do you have more time? Well, you have better habits. See? But your better habits, that goes into your daily routines. When you wake up, what foods you consume. All these things are very important, and it ties into it. Like, again, like a lot of people, especially, I'm just keeping it a buck, especially like a lot of brothers in the camps I see. It's all about the fringes and the feast days and dietary law and, things of that nature. But everything else, brothers rarely speak on. And that's not everybody. I would never speak in absolutes on anything, but especially about brothers in camps. I'm not saying everybody in the camp is this or that. Not saying none of that. I'm just saying that I see them say that the most. Okay, and I've been around the way for a minute, so just saying. But anyways, let's get into the scriptures. Just some of the scriptures that I have pulled up on this topic, talking about controlling our thoughts and also just improving our spirit and fleeing from sin. So let's get it. This is Proverbs 25:28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. Wow, I love this scripture so much. Let's go to the top. Proverbs 25:28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. If you have no control over your spirit, you have no control over your fleshly desires, lust if you have them, or lust not just according to hormonal, like according to financially too as well. You're like a city that's broken down without walls, so you can easily be conquered. Demons can easily come into any type of spirit that has no type of walls. Only a strong spirit will be a wall and a protection to the different lusts and temptations of the world. That's it. So, and when I say the spirit, I'm not talking about just reading the scriptures. Like a lot of times brothers hear the word spirit and they just thinking of only like the understanding of the scriptures. That's not having a strong spirit is not just about your understanding of the scriptures, because if you notice, every single cult leader, the quote unquote religious cult leaders, actually had an understanding of the scriptures. Like David Koresh down there in Waco, Texas, he had an understanding of the scriptures from the standpoint of he could memorize the scriptures at least. And that's what got people to follow him in the first place. That's what wowed people over in the first place, is that he could, in their perspective, could break down scriptures and could understand scriptures and could memorize scriptures. That's what made him, oh, wow. That's what people start associating him with Christ. Now, of course, for all of us that know, we know that's nonsense on many levels for many different reasons, but not to go fully into that. But the other religious cult leaders too as well, like Jim Jones, they displayed a certain knowledge of the Bible. That does not make you spiritual just because you understand the scriptures. What makes you spiritual is if you apply the scriptures, not just because you can verbally speak them or you memorize them. All right. That's what makes your spirit strong, is that you apply the scriptures to your daily lives, not just when you read the scriptures or when you're around other brothers, and everything, or when you're around your woman, when you apply it on a daily basis. You understand? That's the only way to have a strong spirit. And without that, you open. It's just like a house with a gate open, with the doors open, with the windows open. That's what you like. You got no windows, you got no gates, you got no door. All right. And like I said, that's the way that you have the lusts of the world. All right. The lust of the flesh. You have other, diverse temptations come into your spirit, is when you have no protection. All right. Yahweh will only protect those that, abide by him. That's it. So that's how you do it. All right. You have to stay in the spirit. And again, when I hear stay in the spirit, a lot of times brothers be talking about reading and, it's applying. That's how you stay in the scriptures. You have to apply. All right. Let's read this one more time. Proverbs 25:28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit. So no rule. You got no control. Things got control over you. You don't have control of your lust. Lust got control over you. You have no control of your daily habits. You're not working on waking up earlier. You're not working on your discipline. That means that it has control over you. You understand? You have no control over your food intake, which is something that people sleep on too as well. Like everyone should be trying to eat better. Everyone should be trying. And when I say everyone, of course, I mean us as a people. We should be trying to eat better. right? We should be trying to consume less calories if we need to. All right. We should be trying to exercise at least 3 times a week. If you're newer, at least 3 times. You start out with one if you need to. We need to be doing those things. If not, it has control over you. You have no control over it. So therefore, you won't have control over your spirit. You hear me? So he hath no rule over his own spirit. It's like a city that is broken down and without walls. So it can easily be conquered. Any city that is broken down without walls easily can be trampled. No defense at all whatsoever. And that's how you fall into these diverse temptations, is when you have no type of defense up. You have no wall up. All right. Your spirit is just weak. All right. And, I always look at it like my spirit is weak. Like I need to strengthen it as much as possible at all times, no matter what is going on or what I do or what I accomplish or how many times I read or how long I read or what have you. It's a continuous journey. Now let's go to Proverbs 16:3. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. So commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. So when I was saying earlier, as far as, not equating knowing the scriptures with, having a strong spirit, and also talking about cleaning your thoughts. This is how you clean your thoughts. You commit thy works unto the Lord. And when I mentioned meditating on the scriptures, so when you are reading the scriptures, that's not the only time you obviously should be thinking about the scriptures. But how do you think about the scriptures more? So that way you commend your works unto the Lord and your thoughts are established and you're not thinking as many evil thoughts and wicked thoughts, which can happen to all of us, by the way. You're not going to be perfect. You are in the flesh, but the goal is to improve, to reduce the amount of times you even thinking about going off, right? Because all sin starts from the inside on out. It starts with your thoughts. Your thoughts control your feelings, and your feelings control your actions. It all starts with your thoughts. So how do you control your thoughts then? How do you get to the point where you're not thinking as much about going off? Well, you have to have the open real estate in your mind. Okay, we know in the scriptures that's your spirit. You have to have that open real estate. How do you do that? You have to abstain from the different wild works of the world. All right. So again, the cleaner that you eat is going to be the more likely that you have cleaner thoughts. All right. The more that you stay out of any type of quote unquote drama with, either so-called friends, or you got you a wicked woman on your side, or you stay out of drama at your job, those types of things is going to free up real estate in your mind. Therefore, you're going to have cleaner thoughts. Therefore, you're going to feel better. And then when you feel better, you're going to take better actions, which therefore the actions are, tied to keeping the statute, laws, and commandments. You get it? So it all goes in together, and that's how you do it. You can't be scared to cut people off. You can't be scared to stop doing things, and you really have to commit yourself to it. You have to take action. The Most High rewards those that take action that's bold. The Most High does reward boldness. So, I don't know exactly what it is that specific brother was going through, or, if you're going through something, I don't know exactly what it is. However, I do know that the Most High will give you those thoughts on what you need to do to clean it up. Say if you need to get sober, right? You drinking too much. The Most High gonna give you those thoughts. What if I just take a fast for 21 days? He gonna put it on you, and he gonna see if you gonna actually take action on it. If you with a wicked woman, man, I really just need to leave her. You gonna have that thought, and you gonna see if you're gonna take action on it. All right, man, this dude, man, he cool. I know I've been knowing him since elementary, but dude always just talking about a bunch of stuff. Every time I get around him, I just get out the spirit, man. I really need to stop talking to dude as much. The most I gonna see if you gonna take action on it. So that's how you clean your thoughts. You have to have that real estate in your mind. Even when I'm not actively reading the scriptures, I'm thinking about the scriptures. I'm thinking about ways to improve. Right. So like a lesson like this, I could do this lesson, and it doesn't take me as much time to kind of put these thoughts together because I'll be thinking about stuff like this all the time, for myself, not just, to make a lesson, but I think about these scriptures and I just think about ways to improve my discipline and applying the scriptures all the time. So, that's extra time that you're getting closer to the Most High, even when you're not actively reading. You could be at work. You need to be thinking about it. All right, just throughout the day. First thing when you wake up, you thank the Most High then. That's how you provide the real estate inside of your mind. All right, you free up space because you cannot be thinking about all this random stuff all the time and still have room in your spirit and in your mind to be able to think about the Most High and think about improving. All right, again, it starts with your diet, starts with your thoughts, which goes to your actions. Let's get Proverbs 12:5. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit. Verse 6. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. Okay, so the thoughts of the righteous are right. Every action again begins with a thought. So you're always going to get wicked thoughts. As long as you're in this flesh. Paul talked about that a lot, about the difference between the flesh and the spirit, which we're going to grab one scripture on that. You're always going to have these thoughts as long as you're in the flesh, but there's a lot of us that have a lot more, a lot less than others. So, don't think just because you'll never get rid of them completely that it's acceptable to have as many as you may have. You understand? I always talk about too is one thing that I think a lot of brothers, especially the brothers, only the brothers in this case, need to work on ASAP is any type of masturbation, any type of pornography watching. Like if you still do those things, I'm telling you, that's one of the first things that you should be attacking. If you have wicked thoughts and you watch pornography, there's your answer right there. We were never meant to have, something like that at our fingertips. And, it messes you up in so many other areas of life. Brothers report that they can't even enjoy their woman because they thinking about, a woman that they saw, on the pornography scene. Right. There's so many different things. It's just, it throws your spirit off. There's no way you can call yourself a righteous man if you watching any type of pornography. The masturbation thing, that's another level, but at least with pornography, you have to abstain from that. You have to, for the brother that has the wicked thoughts. That's one question I would ask is, are you, watching those things? And not even the hardcore porn. It doesn't have to be that either. Are you online looking at these quote unquote Instagram models pages? That all is a trigger too as well. You have to understand, even if you're looking at someone that you find attractive online or of course in person too as well, is that causing your thoughts to go array? These are the things that you have to abstain from. All right. We talked about that on the Shannon Sharp lesson. All right, talking about, not beholding the beauty of every woman, like it speaks about it in the book of Sirach. All right, so it's very important too as well when it comes to cleaning your thoughts, is abstaining from that. I'm telling you, man, I know, look, being a man, I understand how hard it is, but you have to put that into place. Like if I was still watching that stuff, I'm telling you, I would literally say I'm finna be done with this. Whatever I got to do to be done with this within the next before the end of the year, I'm gonna do it. It depends on how bad, how far off you are. Give yourself some time. It may not happen overnight for you. Matter of fact, more than likely, it won't happen overnight. But put a plan into place. Put it on your spirit that you're gonna get rid of those thoughts, or you're gonna stop doing all that. You have to. It's vital. But or not. you do whatever you want to do, but I'm just saying if you're someone that wants to get rid of evil thoughts, that's one thing that I would attack. All right, I was gonna get Proverbs 12. Yeah, let's get Proverbs 12:1. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish. Then verse 2. A good man obtaineth favor of the Lord, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. This is what I wanted to get to. Verse 2. A good man obtaineth favor of the Lord, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. You get condemned with these wicked thoughts, all right, which in turn will manifest itself, in your life is also, brothers feel like things just not going their way and stuff keep happening. Hey, it could be you too as well, being wicked. I'm not saying of course, the example of Job and others in the scriptures. I'm not saying that if something happens that's not in your favor, that means that you're wicked or going off. It could be the opposite. However, if you're going off and things are not going your way, that's one thing that could be directly tied to it, right? So the Most High will condemn a man that has wicked devices. And I speak about the woman so much and abstaining from, lasciviousness, like pornography, and looking at women online, because I know how prevalent it is for the so-called black man. For whatever reason, we see to love women the most. I think it was designed that way on purpose by the Most High. But either way, I know it's one of the biggest stumbling blocks for us. So that's why I talk about it so much when I'm speaking on these things, because I understand that that's one thing that you could attack, and how liberating it really is when you're not dealing with those things. I'm telling you, I love it on a personal level. I love it, knowing that I don't dive into those different types of things. I mean, it really is a testament to me of the Most High's power, because before coming into this walk and abstaining from those things, I never thought that I would stop doing it. And I know that there's plenty of men, they never stop, so I'm just eternally grateful to the Most High because of that. And I want other men to experience the same thing. All right, let's get Galatians 5:16. This I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lusts of the flesh. Verse 17, for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary to one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. Verse 18, but if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Verse 19, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, or just uncleanness here, lasciviousness. Verse 20, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies. Verse 21, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Now let's actually keep going so we can see what's walking in the Spirit is like. Verse 22, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. 23, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. Verse 24, and they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. Verse 25, if we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. So you see here the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. These things cannot exist or cannot dwell where there is sin, right? Again, in your mind, in your spirit, if you have all of these things, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, the fruits of the Spirit cannot exist at the same time: love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, which is huge, right? Meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. I really don't want to touch on that because that's another topic why it says that. But either way, just speaking on the fruits of the Spirit, you cannot have both. This immediately made me think of this scripture too as well. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 4. For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin. So one has to think, if you are having issues, like you feel like you're not picking up on the scriptures, you're not growing in the Spirit from that aspect. All right. It could be because of your actions too as well, which is dictated by your thoughts. All right. So it all plays in together. But the Most High will not let those things enter into your spirit if you are subject into sin. You get it? For into a malicious soul. So if you have a malicious soul, which is these works here: idolatry, witchcraft, adultery, fornication, hatred, variance, uncleanness, lasciviousness, emulations, wrath, strife. These things are big too. Are you someone that's always trying to look for a debate? Are you always causing strife between you and someone else? Always causing wrath, always thinking about wrath. You angry all the time. All right, seditions, hearsays. So if you always someone that's talking about he say, she say, this or that, envyings, murders, drunkenness. So if you a brother dealing with that, revelings and such like. So that's not a complete list. There's more, but they all normally kind of fall into these categories here. If you dealing with these things, then guess what? Wisdom cannot enter your soul, nor dwell in a body that is subject into sin. So that's how you clean your thoughts. All right. You get rid of these thoughts, because with these thoughts, you can't have the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, which is huge. A lot of brothers don't really have peace, and you setting yourself up for that because you dwelling with a woman that is not going to bring you any peace. You kicking it with people that is not going to bring you any peace. And let me be clear here. I'm not just talking about people that's in the world. They can, quote unquote, be in the truth too as well. That's what a lot of y'all problem is that y'all think that, again, once you're in the truth, that's just, they got to be all right. They quote unquote in the truth. No, they're cosplaying being in the truth. They're putting on an Israelite costume of quote unquote being in the truth, but of the Spirit they are not. It's just like the Pharisees. A lot of brothers hear that, here we go, you talking about the Pharisees, but it's true. The Pharisees looked the part, but they weren't actually the part spiritually. You understand? That's why Yahushua was always on them. He was on their head. Yahushua sat with other sinners and was trying to get them right. But when it came down to the Pharisees and the other groups too as well, he was on their heads. But why was he on their heads harder than the outright sinner or those that just completely lost their way? It's because those that are lost their way, the ones that he was dealing with, they were trying to gain an understanding, and they were trying to do better when it comes to understanding the law and keeping the statute, laws, and commandments. But The Pharisees, they were fakers. All right, they were wolves in sheep's skin. You understand? And that's why he was on them so hard. And that's what's going on today with a lot of people. They just look the part. They always have on fringes. They always gonna have on the fringes, and the women, they always wear the dresses. They hair always wrapped, but when it comes down to it spiritually, they're all over the place. They just like or just as worse as anybody else out in the world. You have to be able to analyze that, understand it, and deal with it accordingly. I just think, they ain't in the truth. I can trust them, and that, no, you can't. You can't trust everybody that call themselves in the truth. It's not that I want it to be like that. It's just the truth, though. It is. And if you've gone through enough and you've seen enough in this walk, then you know that to be the case. You do have to have your guard up at all times, unless someone has proven otherwise, which takes a lot of time, really. So, don't be someone that's just easily beguiled just because someone has been putting out lessons online. Just because they seem like they know a lot about the scriptures, you think the Most High is dealing with him. That's in a certain way he is, but not like what you think. But anyways, the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. You cannot have these things where idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, and heresies exist. And adultery, fornication. What is fornication? Any type of sexual immoral acts according to the law. Are you sleeping with a woman that you know that she dealing with another man? That's adultery. That's fornication. Or the other wicked works. It's unclean. It's lasciviousness. All right, so that's how you clean your thoughts. Proverbs 16:32. I spoke about anger a little bit earlier. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. So you're mightier than someone that taketh a city if you can rule your spirit. As a man, this is everything. You have to be able to rule your spirit on all levels, not just reading scriptures and have. It's not just about having, precepts in your scriptures or knowing precepts. That's not ruling your spirit. What do you do when nobody is watching? Or in the times where you're not doing a lesson like this, or a time where you're not at camp, or you're not around other people? What are your thoughts then? What are your actions on a daily basis? Are you really trying to work to improve yourself? Are you improving your diet? Are you trying to improve your diet? Right? Are you trying to improve your finances so that you can have more control of other areas of your life too as well? That's ruling your spirit. Everything that goes into it. Right? And he that's slow to anger. If you someone that's, dealing with anger, that's something that you really need to take serious, because anger can only result in all manners of evil. Right. So you have to be slow to anger. That goes with having patience and temperance. All right. So that's something you got to take to the Most High too as well, and pray and fast on. Which, by the way, that's how you deal with these things too as well. Praying and fasting. All right. Now, we could get all of the book of Hebrews chapter 12 here, excuse me. But we're just going to go here, 12 and 11. Now, no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward, it yielded the peaceful fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. So sometimes you will get chastened by the Lord. All right, the Most High will put you through certain things. When we pray for obedience, when we pray for knowledge, wisdom, and discernment, it's not going to come in the form that we just, that we think sometimes, where the Most High just boom and he just kind of throw it on you. Some things he will just throw on you like that. Sometimes you might just wake up and be like, dang, I ain't worried about smoking today. I'm not worried about watching porn today. And you just never go back to it. You like, dang, it just seemed like it happened out of nowhere. The Most High can just, throw some things on you like that and correct you. However, more times than not, you'll be corrected in the physical realm by a hard lesson that had to be learned. You understand? So if you're asking to cut people off or to strengthen your spirit, the Most High may put you in a situation where you have no other choice but to cut somebody off, so that you can strengthen your spirit. Or you pray for cleaner thoughts, not to have wicked thoughts, therefore wicked intentions. The Most High may put you in a situation where you have no other choice but to get rid of someone or something that is causing those evil thoughts. That's the chastening of the Lord. You get it? So, it doesn't seem to be joyous at the time, but grievous. However, it does yielded the peaceable fruit of righteousness, those fruits that we just read about of the Spirit in Galatians, the 5th chapter, right? All right, let's get 1 Timothy 6:6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. So you do have to be content. You have to be content, but also all at the same time want to do better. So it is a balance. You can't be jealous of others because of what you have, what they have, but also at the same time, you have to want to improve your current situation. Again, it's a balance. So we're going to get that more here, actually. Let's get the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 11. Now that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am therewith to be content. Verse 12. I know both how to be abased and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. So you have to be full and hungry. What does that mean? Full from the standpoint of content. If the Most High literally gave you nothing else, you'll be good with that. You appreciate everything that he's done. You're grateful for everything that he's done for you and everything you possess from a spiritual and physical standpoint. You appreciate it because that keeps you content. That keeps you from not committing the sin of covetousness, which is one of the 10 commandments if you break it. If you look at somebody else in their possessions, again, either on a spiritual or physical level, if you envy someone for what they possess, then you breaking a grievous law there. All right. Now, all at the same time, you have to be hungry, meaning you have to strive to improve yourself so that you would have something similar to what somebody else has. You're not looking at it from that standpoint, though. You're not comparing yourself to someone else, but the better version of your own self is the only comparison there. So you have to be full, content, but also hungry to do better, to grow in the spirit, to improve your habits. Everything is really about habits, brothers and sisters. Everything is about habits. Really, habits and talent. Talent meaning you're able to either monetize or you're able to maximize on the gifts that the Most High gave you, and also you have the habits to be able to improve yourself or to feed more into those talents that the Most High gave you, the gifts that the Most High gave you. That's how you improve. All right, you have to identify what gifts the Most High gave you, then you have to maximize on those by improving your habits. All right. There's a few good books out there about habits. You know what? I'll put those on the screen. It's 2 books that you can read that I've read that are really good on talking about habits. And I wanted to do a separate video on habits. So, I'll just kind of leave that there for now. But that's how you're full but hungry at the same time. All right. Because right now, I mean, I couldn't tell you how much I appreciate the Most High for everything that He's given me, but my vision for the future, all at the same time, there's so many different things that I plan on doing, not just on one level, physically improving, spiritually improving my production output on this channel, so on and so forth. So, that's how you have to be if you want to continue to grow and strive in the spirit. And also, I like the title of the lesson, clean your thoughts and flee from sin. You got to be occupied. If you're not occupied, if you don't have something that you're working on, that's just one clear way to set yourself up for sin. If you get bored, if you don't have something, especially as a man, if you don't have something that you're working on, you don't have to have a business, but outside of your job, it has to be something that's occupying your time outside of the game and different things like that. Are you gonna fall to the ways of the world? It's got to be something that you working on that's bigger than your current situation. You understand? It's got to be something next. It's got to be something that you always working on. All right. And when you found that thing, you should always be improving it. All right. So let's get Proverbs 15-17 to more talk about, the people that you're around and the relationships that you develop. Proverbs 15-17. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a stalled ox and hatred therewith. So better is a dinner of herbs where love is. So it's better to have dinner where there is even no meat, it's just herbs, than to have meat and have hatred therewith. So basically, also what this is saying is it's better to have, lowly friends, maybe a friend or family member that, they may not have the most going on, but there's love there, than to have somebody, or like a woman, it's better to have, she may not be, I don't know, whoever brothers think, the woman that's attractive, is better to not be with somebody like that than someone else that may not be as striking in looks, than to be with her and, there's hatred therewith, and she causing you to go off for whatever reason. You understand? So that's what this is saying here. So you have to be very careful about your company. I always talk about the woman that you with, but again, it also goes into the company that you keep as far as the brothers that you're around too as well. And if you're a sister, of course, the sisters that you're around, and including your family. If your family, they not in a certain level, you have to be bold about that and not be scared to limit the amount of time that you're around them. I don't care, mom, dad, brother, sister, whatever. You cannot be scared to do that, because it's going to hinder you in your whole progress. It's going to hinder your progress. All right. It's going to hinder your path to becoming a better person, according to the scriptures. Right. Working on your work ethic, working on your habits. All right. Working on your diet. If you always around somebody that's going off as far as a diet, then how are you going to improve? Right. So you have to be with like-minded people on many levels, not just one. All right. Not just in business, not just in the scriptures, on many levels, financially too as well. It's about being a complete man. All right. It's not just about, reading the scriptures all the time. That's great. But if you can't apply them because you haven't worked on everything else, then it doesn't matter. You can know all the scriptures in the world, but if you're not applying them, it just does not matter. And we need more lessons talking about applying the scriptures than just about the scriptures itself. All right. So that's pretty much it for now. This is going to be just a quicker lesson, I guess, to me. Under hours, a quicker lesson, but that's pretty much it for now. Lord willing, this was edifying. Until the next time, I bid everyone a mighty shalom.